To put this in perspective, think of a supercomputer for hire. So the top 500, you may have heard of this in other classes. It's running this DAXB benchmark on the biggest machines in the world, and they announce this twice a year. So they put together 532 of these, the most expensive ones, and they could do 240 teraflops, a quarter of a petaflop. That placed it number 72nd on this list. So at about $1,300 per hour. So what does that mean? So you know, with a credit card, you can use one of the top supercomputers. Putting this more in perspective, Zigna's Farmville, they had to build one of their first games. They had to figure out what to do. So what they could have done is built a data center. Then it's how many servers should we buy? If we don't buy enough, people will become frustrated. If we buy too many, we'll have lost a lot of money over buildings. And at the time, the biggest game, online game at that kind of market was 5 million users. So should you assume you'll have the most successful game ever? How do you do that? Well, they instead use Amazon Web Services, plugged in their credit card, and we'll just get as many servers as we need. So what happened to Farmville? I already asked that question. In 4 days, they had 1 million. In 2 months, they had 10 million. So in 2 months, they had more than all of the biggest by far. And if they'd been building a data center, imagine what that would have taken. And in 9 months, they're up to 75 million. And all they had to do is just give Amazon more money, and they got a bigger machine. And as a result, you know, they were very successful with that. Okay, so everybody's heard of IBM Watson, right? So this is the Jeopardy champion. Best by far. By far the Jeopardy champion. Now, actually, there was Cal played against Jeopardy when it visited here, and the Cal team almost won, came very close. But it was a team of people playing against it. So, but you know, it's pretty impressive that it could do it. So they have 90 of these IBM servers, not surprisingly. So let's say that they were about the same. That'd be $200 an hour. So what's $200 an hour? $200 an hour is what typically an accountant or a lawyer charges for it, right? So you could have the world Jeopardy champion, the best Jeopardy player in the world. How long will it be before we could have artificial intelligence that could use that $200 an hour that would be as good at being a lawyer or accountant as a person, right? So this is something you might want to like talk to your friends who are majoring in law or in business and say, gee, I wonder what the future's like. You know, I wonder what the future's going to be like for you. I wonder, you know, if at, you know, $200 an hour today, something better than anybody in the world, I wonder if it could do accounting, you know? So that should be, so this is in your future, right? What's this going to mean for society? I mean, I think as I get interviewed a lot, and this is one of the things I wonder about. It seems like what we do, there's great jobs for us, right? There's great jobs for us. In fact, last year they rated 400 jobs from best to worst. Journalists was like 395, right? It was, they factored in, you know, lifestyle and salary and job security, and it was right above lumberjack. You know, there was journalists, lumberjack, right? You wouldn't. I'm sure when those people went to school, they weren't thinking, well, thank God I'm not a lumberjack, right? So, and at the very top was software engineer. It was software engineer, like 3 down was medical doctor. So for us, the future looks pretty rosy. But I'm worried about, you know, is what we're going to do is keep killing jobs for everybody else. You know, I'm hoping that you guys or we will figure out ways that can increase the number of jobs in the world using the technology. So a hopeful sign for that is this thing called Mechanical Turk, which they use software to make jobs for people who have internet access. Right now, that's pretty poor pay, but maybe there'll be a better version of that. But yeah, in your careers, this is absolutely going to happen. The so-called artificial intelligence, there was a lot of promises in the 80s that didn't really turn out. But machine learning is delivering on those promises. This is statistics-based stuff is starting to work, and machine learning, as we get more data, this is called big data, and the algorithms get faster, more and more stuff is going to work pretty well online, and this is going to impact society in ways that you will live through. I think being on the guys who build that stuff is probably the safe place to be, but you know, what's this going to mean? Okay, enough philosophy. All right, time for another card check. All right. Which is not true about these three things? Surface servers, service architecture, and cloud computing. Clusters are collections of commodity servers connected by LAN switches. 1, 2, the internet supplies communication for SaaS. 2, cloud computing uses hardware clusters and software layer for redundancy, for dependability. 4, private data centers could match the cost of warehouse scale computing if they just use the same type of hardware. And this is something that people say.